Hey everyone, welcome to the 4,000 subscribers celebration stream. Thanks so much for tuning in. Yeah, I accidentally muted myself because I was messing around with the chat. But yes, welcome to the stream. I thought it'd be cool to celebrate 4,000 subscribers and basically a year focused on YouTube with a cool celebration stream. And I think when I announced the stream, I was at like 3,997, so hopefully we got an extra 3, if not, close enough, right? So, hey, how's it going? This is a Q&A stream. If y'all don't have too many questions, I can, of course, ramble on. That's a talent of mine, but the main focus is to answer your questions. Yeah, hey, welcome, Game Boy Guru. Yeah, 4,000 subscribers. It's been a pretty big jump, so a little bit of background for everyone. I started the Electric Underground, what was it, like September, April of 2018, something like that. Yeah, someone's gonna make it $3.99. About almost a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And the first year and a half was basically, thanks my dude, thanks Dave. The first year and a half was basically focused on SoundCloud because I naively was following this other podcast that I liked a lot called the Frame Savers podcast. They're now no longer in business or whatever, but they seem to be all over SoundCloud, and 2018 was the year when SoundCloud was really hot. So I thought, yes, let's go all in on SoundCloud. Well, it turns out that wasn't the best platform to invest all your time and effort into because it really has no discoverability. And so I ended up basically having to put my audience together one by one. And so it ended up being a situation where I decided, okay, in the beginning of 2020, actually, I thought, okay, let's swap over to YouTube and put our focus more on there because I think that's where I can reach out to much more people. And the big hurdle of this year was me basically learning how to be a video and YouTube maker because before that I'd basically been just invested in audio and podcasting. So that's been a pretty cool experience. Hopefully my video quality and my skills as a YouTuber have grown over the past year. Western World Record? No, this is my Mushi Novice Ultra Clear that I got on stream not too long ago. And I thought I'd put a cool little arrangement here. The tricky thing about using backgrounds with shmups is because they're, that thin aspect ratio, you have to kind of get creative with it to make them into a background. So I thought this would be a pretty cool way to do it. But yeah, this is just my ultra novice clear of Mushi. At some point here, I'm going to be working on getting the arrange clear. Really, I can get it. The only hurdle is getting really good at the Aki fight. I think that's how you pronounce it, right? So, any questions? Thanks on the... Oh, yeah, thanks, my dude. 4K, yeah. I'm really happy with the progress the channel has been making. There was a while there, probably March of last year, where I was feeling like, okay, I might be stuck in the kind of 1,000 tier forever, but grinded through it. And the thing about YouTubing is once you start the ball rolling, it'll kind of you can use that momentum. I remember when I first got into 2,000 subs, I was like, wow, this is big, so making it to 4K is a pretty big deal to me. Any questions? I thought this would be a fun chance. I don't know if these streams are all that interesting because I'm around so much and I yammer on about myself so much. Maybe there really isn't many questions to ask me, but in case you have some just general shmupping questions. The next sub goal is 8K. The ultimate sub goal, the one that I think is realistic. Of course, the idea is you want to just push as far as you can, but the one that I think is realistic is 10K. I think that's a realistic goal if I grind really hard for the next 2 years. But the next sort of big landmark for me will be 8K, which will be pretty crazy. Oh, why is it such an ungodly time? Because I live in mountain time, and I have a crazy time zone apparently, especially for my European brethren out there. But yeah, well, congrats for being up at 5 a.m. That's a time I sometimes go to bed at because I'm so bad about my sleeping habits. Which shmup did you spend the most time playing? That's a very easy one, Dodonpachi. I've very easily played Dodonpachi more than any other shmup. I don't even know how many hours I'm racking up, and I'm still racking up more hours because I've been practicing a bunch for the Kumite. Dodonpachi is definitely the #1 that I've played the most. After that, I think it's a toss-up between Garega and Danmaku Unlimited 3, where up until this year is definitely Dan 3 was the #2, but I got the 1cc of Garega this year, and a lot of it I didn't stream because I was playing it on my PS4, like at my parents' house and stuff when I had some time off. But I put a good amount of time into that as well. Next question. Oh yeah, that was so. Thanks for your question, Viz. What are your thoughts on Star Fox Assault and Starlink Battle of Atlantis? I have tried very, very hard to enjoy Star Fox Assault. I actually have a really funny story about that. So I'm a massive Star Fox fan. I don't know if it's come across to the newer subscribers, but if you don't know, I have this video on my channel. It's like a Star Fox 2 all. Star Fox is one of my favorite games, definitely my favorite Nintendo game. If you don't count Smash Bros. Melee. And when I was a kid, I was so psyched for Star Fox Assault. I don't know if you all remember, there was some kind of gaming magazine that used to come out at Electronics Boutique before it became a GameStop. It was way cooler as Electronics Boutique. And I can't remember the name of the magazine, but one of them had an issue on Star Fox Assault, and it made it sound like the coolest game ever made. And it was also made by Namco, and I'm a huge Namco fan. So we got Star Fox, we have Namco. These are two great ingredients. And the thing about it isn't a bad game, but it just doesn't have that je ne sais quoi or whatever, right? It doesn't have that great Star Fox quality as much as the Star Fox 64. And I actually do like Star Fox Zero more than Star Fox Assault. I think Platinum did a better job than Namco did. But I still think Star Fox Assault is a pretty cool game. I've never played Starlink Battle of Atlantis. Is that the one made by Ubisoft that has Star Fox in it, or like a Star Fox ship or something? I might have to play that at some point. I was a little bit nervous to try that out though, because it kind of looked a little bit more like flight simmy than what I like. You know, I like pure rail shooter action. Hey, thanks for the congrats, Sensory. Thanks for the congrats, Realm Chat. BB's asking a question. Do you have a black blanket hung up behind you? Yes, I do. It is a black blanket. That's exactly what it is. I have a green screen here, and if you go back, this is kind of a funny story. So I have a green screen. The black blanket's in front of the green screen. And so if you go back to kind of my March, April, February videos, I tried really, really hard to make the green screen work. I put hours and hours and hours into it, but the combination of the lighting, my limited space, and my camera, they just did not want to work together, and I could not get the green. There's like 2 videos where I get this green screen to work, and then there's a bunch of other videos where the green screen's acting crazy, and I'm doing all these lighting, and so eventually I said, you know what, I'm gonna go Charlie Rose style. That's a little old school for people out there, but I'm gonna go Charlie Rose style with the black background. So, and then I've noticed on YouTube a bunch of people are doing black backgrounds. I was like, you all watch Charlie Rose like me. But yeah, the black background. I just thought I'd go with that. I don't know if you all noticed, but the unofficial color scheme of the Electric Underground, and when I start making more merch, you'll kind of see this more. The unofficial color scheme of the Electric Underground is white, gray, and black. Like, I love whites, grays, and blacks aesthetically. So you'll notice a lot of the stuff I make on my website, stuff I make on my channel. There's a lot of whites, grays, and blacks. So yeah, that's why the black background. I thought about this a lot, and you'll notice in my videos I tried to wear grays, blacks, whites, and the occasional blues, but I do try and keep a kind of color scheme on my videos. 4K is awesome. Thanks, Brainplace. The Switch version of Starlink has Star Fox playable. That's cool. Well, let me know what you all think about that. Is it more space sim, or is it more like Star Fox action? If it's more Star Fox action, I'll give it a shot. I'm trying to decide on the best display size for shmups. At first I thought, sorry, I'm bad at reading, as close as arcade as possible. Smaller screens, guys. Curious on your thoughts. Oh, my thoughts on display size. So I'm probably in a little bit of a minority here. if I was cool, I would flip the camera and show you. But I'm literally sitting next to a massive CRT. So for me, when it comes to shmups, because of my eyes, I don't have the best eyes. My policy is always the bigger the screen, the better. Like, the bigger you can get away with, that doesn't have a lot of input lag, of course. Like, if you can get a giant CRT or a giant gaming monitor, that's what I'd always go with. Bigger the better, that's me. If I could play on this massive projector, I probably would, but, you know, projectors have a ton of lag. The only drawback of it is I think if you get too big, there comes a point where you can't see the screen all at once. But I have seen people play on really small displays too. I think it kind of actually comes down to your quality of your vision, really. If you have crappy vision like me, you probably need bigger displays. If you have really good vision, maybe a smaller display would work better because you can track things a little bit faster. But for me, my vision isn't very good, so I need huge displays, as big as I can get them, basically. I hope that answers your question, Dave. The main thing about displays, though, that I always recommend is always keep an eye on that input lag. Check, I think it's arting.com. That usually has really good readings on input lag. And of course, if you want to ensure you have good input lag, just go with a CRT or a CRT monitor. That's my number one thing. And then my number two thing is the size. And then my number three thing is G-Sync. I'm really into G-Sync now. So if you're playing on a modern display, I always recommend having one with G-Sync or FreeSync because it's low input latency, it matches the frame rate of the games, and it doesn't have screen tearing. It's like everything you want. Yeah, the original Mushihimesama boss does look cool. Have you ever played Streets of Rage Remake? Is that Streets of Rage 4? I have played Streets of Rage 4. I made a video on it. I really liked it. I liked Streets of Rage 4. It was good. If there was another Streets of Rage, I haven't played that. Electric Underground t-shirts. Love the Axelay ship. So I do have a t-shirt available right now. It's the Cyberbike. You can see it if you go to electricunderground.io. It's on the front page there, and it'll take you. It's through Amazon. I worked my ass off to get that Amazon merch thing to work. So the thing is, I know that people want it's actually the Axelay ship. I want that too, and I actually have some custom ones with that ship on there and also a Ketsui chopper. But I need to kind of I'm a little bit nervous because I don't know how much that falls into copyright infringement or something, and I don't want to get my ass sued by like Konami or something. So I'm a little bit nervous to sell the merch because I'm afraid Konami might come and kill me, but I'll think about it. I'll think about how likely that is and if I want to do it or not. Or I might try and commission. I'm actually been thinking about, because I have commissioned art before pretty successfully. So I might commission some kind of anime artist out there to create an original ship that's very similar to the Axelay ship, but is not within the grasp of Konami's copyright, and swap it out. I do love that ship though. I absolutely love it. But that's why it's not on the merch, because I'm scared of copyright infringement right now. Hey, how's it going, Lasco again? Go. In your opinion, what is the most aesthetically beautiful shmup? That's a great question, Brain Palace. Grega's up there. Grega is insane. I think the original Mushi is also extremely beautiful. Ironically, I'm having the one behind me. Futari as well. I actually think the original Mushi looks better than Futari, though, for some reason. Not by a lot, but by a little bit. Maybe just the aesthetic. So up there, Grega, the original Mushi, DOJ. I think DOJ is absolutely beautiful. I've seen people kind of dislike DOJ's visuals because they feel they're too muted. But as you'll know, I like muted visuals. I like muted color palettes. So I think the dark horse pick is also DOJ. I think DOJ's graphics are absolutely fantastic and beautiful. Grega's, though, is a real clean contender, too, though. Grega's insane. Play Gunnak? Okay, I could do that. I could play some Gunnak. Brad, I'd be down for that. What is your favorite Platinum Games shmup segment? What is my favorite Platinum Games shmup segment? Well, my favorite Platinum Games shmup, if it counts, if you want to count rail shooters, is Star Fox Zero. And I love Star Fox Zero, and my favorite stage in Star Fox Zero, if you want to count this, is a Corneria 2. So you play through the game, you play Corneria, then you go back to Corneria, and it's like remixed and harder, and just full of great level design. Corneria 2, if that counts. Sorry if I cough. Had a sore throat. Yeah, so Dave's saying he has a 32-inch flat screen with about 11 milliseconds of lag. That's impressive. And a 27-inch CRT. Both excellent options. Yeah, rotate those bad boys. Yeah, my giant CRT here, it's huge and it's rotated. It's absolutely massive, and it's really fun to play on. Any plans for Shmup Arch in 2021? Yep. I'm going to update Shmup Arch, a pretty comprehensive update. Lots of quality of life features, and I'm really going to try and work on the MAME core, because it doesn't have run ahead, but I think it still might have some potential. I'm going to try and get in there and mess with it a little bit, see if I can come up with something for that MAME core. That would be cool. Don't send the Konami ninjas, yeah. What are some good Steam ports? I'm searching for some and became disappointed by how lazy Zero Dev ones. Yeah, avoid Zero Dev. They're not that good. The best Steam port, ironically, is the one behind me, Mushi. That's the best one. Sorry. Other ones that are very good, I'd give it to all the cave ones. I mean, Death Smiles is known for having slowdown issues and stuff, but it's still a great game. So the cave ones. Hellsinker. Really great Steam port. I'm sorry, this is why I haven't been recording all that much. Other Steam ports. Hellsinker. Trying to think other. Well, of course, there's like the original releases on Steam, right? Like Blue Revolver, Zero Ranger. I'm trying to think of other ports though that are good. I think the Ikaruga one's probably pretty solid. You can emulate it on GameCube too, but I'm sure the Ikaruga port's probably pretty good. Yeah, I love Star Fox Zero. I have a whole video on it. It's an old school video, like one of my earlier ones, but I still stand by it. I think it's a really good video. Oh, I like the part in Bayo 2 where you're surfing. Does that count? The part in Bayo 2 where you're surfing and you fight stuff while you're surfing? I like that. I haven't played the Wonderful 101. The parts in Nier Automata are cool. I haven't played all the way through Nier Automata, but I remember playing the demo and it having shmup sections. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I know, exactly. Futari on MAME Arch, that's exactly what I want to see happen. And Ibarra as well. Do I have any interest in having a EXA motherboard? I heard they do care about reducing input lag to the minimum. Also have exclusive content. Yeah, interest-wise, absolutely. I just the only reason why I don't have an EXA board is that I'm not a high roller. I can't quite afford one, right? They're pretty expensive. Sorry, but if I ever come into a big pile of money that I can justify dropping $2 grand, yeah, I'd get one. I'd get one for SDOJ mostly. Absolutely. Favorite DBZ arc? Saiyan Saga, of course. After the Saiyan Saga, probably Cell. Saiyan and Cell are my favorite too. I love the part, one of my favorite parts in DBZ that most people don't probably like because I like these types of things. Is the part where Trunks comes back and he chops up Frieza and everything, and then he reveals to Goku that Vegeta's his dad, and Goku's like freaking out. That's one of my favorite parts in Dragon Ball Z. The part where you realize Bulma and Vegeta are gonna hook up. I don't know, like a little bit of sex in the show, I think is always a good thing. So that's one of my favorite parts when you realize that Trunks' dad is Vegeta. Sounds like, oh, Trunks is cool. That's one of my favorite parts. But my favorite saga overall, hands down, is the Saiyan Saga. I mean, it's not only nostalgia-wise, but it is really good. And I remember as a kid going to school, I was like one of the only kids in my class. This is kind of sad, but I was only one of the only kids in my class with cable. And so what I would do is I would go home and I would like watch the Saiyan Saga and I'd like take notes. And then I would go back to school the next day and tell my friends what happened in the episodes. So I would kind of like spin my own sort of interpretation on things. So they got like this secondhand Mark version of Dragon Ball Z of me telling them what happens in the show. It was a huge deal. I was absolutely obsessed with Dragon Ball Z. It's one of my favorite shows, and Saiyan Saga was definitely the highlight for me. Next Touhou stream. Yeah, I actually own one of Wonderful 101 on the Wii U. I do need to play it. I do know it's right up my alley too, right? I just need to play it. Yeah, so Hellsinker is originally on PC. I don't know if you count that as a port because it's a port of a PC release, so it's like, is that much of a port? Next Touhou stream when? Pretty soon. Pretty soon. We got up next is what Perfect Cherry Blossom, right? In Touhou Quest. Probably in the next few weeks here. Next week or so, probably. Okay, so the Bayo stuff. Hey, Victor. Hey, my dude. I got into shmups recently in Crimson Clover, and it's just amazing. Yep, absolutely. Crimson Clover, World Explosion, World Ignition, top tier shmups. My recommendation is try and unlock Type Z, and then switch the ship skin over to the Type 1, but you're playing Type Z. Type Z is one of my favorite shmup ships of all time because it's absurdly broken, where it's a wide shot, but it's also really fast. So it's like the combination of my favorite two, wide and fast. It's a really good ship. I always recommend people, if you can get your hands on that Type Z ship and make it happen. Yeah, Frieza's up there too, the Frieza Saga. I have a lot of really fond memories of the Frieza Saga. And back in the day on Toonami, how it would go is for a while there, you'd watch the Saiyan and then Frieza, and then it would swap back. Saiyan, Frieza, then it would go back. Saiyan, Frieza for a while because they didn't have more episodes. But then when they finished it, you know, they brought out the part where Frieza fights Goku and all that stuff. That was really epic, yeah. And he goes Super Saiyan. A huge highlight. I can see why that's a big favorite for people. What's my favorite version of Raiden? Oh, great question, Brian. My favorite version of Raiden by far is Raiden Fighters Aces. By far. That's my favorite Raiden release. I absolutely love that game. Raiden Fighter plays Slave. That's my favorite Raiden. Raiden Fighters Aces. Really underrated. A lot of people don't know too much about it. Oh, yeah, some big britches, laming off some great Steam releases. Legacy of Goku 2. Was that the one on the Game Boy Advanced? Because I think I had that. Bam's asking, will I do a DOJ Black Label 1 all plus Hibachi? Ah, that's a one looper, right? When you go to play DOJ, you have options of playing 2 loops or 1 loop, and if you do the 1 loop option, it ends with Hibachi. That's a great idea, Bam. Yeah, I'll have to do that. Maybe try and get that done this year. That would be pretty cool. Have I taken notice of VTubers that sometimes play shmups like... I'm sorry, I can't pronounce these shmup games. I've heard about them on the Discord. People have talked about them. I haven't taken too much interest just because I think VTubers are mostly a Japanese thing for the most part, right? And the thing about it that's interesting is that shmups are fairly big in Japan. Like the Japanese shmup scene is much more popular than the Western one. So, like if we could access the Japanese shmup scene with or without VTubers, that would be a huge deal. And I think I'm starting to get more Japanese viewers and stuff. Like Utakaya, he's a patron. And Twilight, he's a Japanese player. If we could access those Japanese players and kind of bring them into the fold a little bit, that would be huge. But it would be interesting to see if those VTubers catch on the West in any sort of way, which would be kind of hilarious, right? Like the way Western mainstream gamers find out about shmups is through Japanese VTubers. I could see that happening though. What do you think about KOF Sky Stage? I love King of Fighters. I don't know too much about it. Is that in King of Fighters 13? Or am I not reading that right? But yeah, King of Fighters, really cool backgrounds. I'm sure the Sky Stage looks really cool. What do I think of the idea of experimental power-up systems like Radius, Eidhand, or Fantasy Zone? I think that's a cool idea. Power-up systems are interesting because I think they present a sort of fundamental. In an upcoming podcast, Boghog and I kind of talk about power systems a little bit. The problem with power-up systems is they present an interesting issue with the game design. It can be overcome, but it is an interesting issue. The issue is that if you put a lot of emphasis on your power-up systems, that means at some point in the game, usually in the beginning, you tend to be very underpowered, and so it can hurt replayability a lot if you don't figure that out. I think if you can figure out how to make power-up systems work without making the game, especially the early game, feel boring and underpowered, that would be the key. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I think that would be the thing you'd want to focus on and think about, is making sure that the power-up system doesn't make the game feel really boring and lame when you're not fully powered up, right? I think Super Metroid's a great game to kind of look at this for. They do a good job of making the early game still feel good even though you're not fully powered up. It can be done. I just think that's something you got to kind of keep an eye out for. Thunder Force 4 does a good job with this as well. Oh, Sky Stage is a shmup game. I haven't played it. I'll have to check it out. Lack of Tate in Raiden 4. That's pretty ridiculous. I don't know what's up with that. Have you ever been to Ace Combat games at all? For me, that was always a transition game into shmups. I haven't. So the thing about me is I don't really particularly enjoy flight sims all that much. The closest I came to that was I was pretty into the Mechasult games back in the day. Yeah, I don't tend to like flight simulation games all that much. I'm more interested in like arcade games. That's just me in general, though. I don't tend to like simulation games just across the board. For the most part, anyway. But they're really good flight simulation games, from what I understand. I'm sorry for coughing and all that. Does Raiden Fighter Aces work in FB Nioh? I think it does. I haven't played it. I've played the 360 port a lot, and I don't think the 360 port is all that great. So I'm going to have to explore that. I think it does, though. What shmup do you want to play first with your kid? Oh, Mushihimesama. My kids, the shmup they like the best is Mushihimesama because of the purple bullets and the bugs. So that's definitely the game, Mushi. 100%. That's the one. Got recommended from your video on where to start. That's cool. Yeah. Oh, as far as like skill, skill-wise, I think Touhou is probably the place to start for sure. As far as like fun factor, I think Mushi would be my choice. But skill-wise, I'd still say have them play like a Touhou game. They might enjoy Touhou too because of like how like cute it is and stuff. Or like maybe Fantasy Zone. Kids probably would enjoy Fantasy Zone because it's so cute. Which do you think is better, Batsu Gun or first Dodonpachi? Ooh, that's a very divisive question, but I will answer it. I like Batsu Gun a lot more than Dodonpachi. As far as which one is better, that's where it gets interesting. I think overall, I'm not Dodonpachi, Dodonpachi. Dodonpachi is my favorite. I like Batsu Gun better than Dodonpachi. As far as which is better, I think it's pretty inarguable that Dodonpachi is the better game of the two. But which one do I like better? I like Batsu Gun more. But Dodonpachi, I think, is the better game overall. Especially with its scoring depth and stuff. Batsu Gun Special is up there, but you can counterstop Batsu Gun Special and stuff. I still think Dodonpachi is better than Batsu Gun Special, even. But I like Batsu Gun more, if that makes any difference. Yeah, as far as getting people to play shmups, that's a great question. I think you kind of have to do a combination of sort of selling them on it, and also just like keep reintroducing it to them over and over and over. The nice thing about shmups is they're so easy to pick up and play. Just like make it fun and accessible. I don't know. As my children get older, it'd be interesting to see how they respond to them. Touhou 4 Lotus Story. I could see that. Josh was asking, have I ever thought of covering arcade-rooted genres as part of my expansion? So stuff like single-screen arcade games. Potentially, yeah. Right now, I'm not feeling all that motivated because that's kind of like TG's territory, and there's just so much craziness and drama surrounding single-screen arcade games that it's pretty crazy. But I do actually like them quite a bit. Whenever I go to the arcade, I will play Pac-Man. I will play Mr. Do. What's the one that I always play? Another one. Bust-a-Move. That one I got pretty good at. Yeah, I could see that happening in the future. Me covering those games, especially like ones that I think are pretty creative and interesting. So Signal RF, this is a great question. Signal RF has asked me, have I ever been burned out on shmups? Absolutely. The thing that's very interesting for me is that I think what keeps me playing them is a combination of two things. One is that if you play them enough, there's kind of like this, like when you start a certain taste for food. Like let's say you develop a taste for black licorice. That's one of my favorite candies. Most people, when they first taste black licorice, they don't really like it all that much. And what ends up happening is that initial phase of acquiring a taste for black licorice, you kind of have to like eat it because you have no other choice, or like it's there and you're like, okay, I have some. But over time, you start to develop this taste for black licorice to the point where other candies don't quite compare. And so if someone hands you a red licorice, you're like, what trash is this? I want my black licorice. I think shmups are kind of like that, where they're like a bitter taste at first. And when you first start playing them, the initial phases of shmups, that's where you're most likely to quit, is at the beginning. But once you get the taste for them and you keep playing them, like at this point, I've played so much shmups that it's actually becoming difficult for me to play other genres anymore because I find them too boring to play. But at first, I was getting burned out on shmups in the first year of playing them because I found them too overwhelming, too oppressive, and painful. But as you increase your skills in the genre and your familiarity with it, it becomes more and more entrenched in you, basically, to the point where you'll actually start finding yourself quitting other genres, most likely, because you find them too boring. Like, certain games I go to play, and you just start to see how much fat is in the games that you play, like mainstream games, where I went to go play a game that I was kind of interested in checking out. It was on the Switch. It was a Platinum game, like the Platinum Cop game. I can't remember what it's called. But I was like, oh, this kind of looks cool. I played it for 2 hours. Basically, nothing happened in 2 hours. I was like, I can't do this. I could have done a bunch of credits of Ketsui or something this time. So I think that's maybe my insight on that is when you first start, that's where you're most likely to quit in shmups, is the beginning. But as they become an acquired taste for you, you're going to actually become more and more ensnared within them to the point where you probably will actually start quitting other genres instead. How about Q-em-ups? I love Q-em-ups. I'm gonna do a video on Q-em-ups. They don't come up on my channel all that much, but I'm a huge fan of Q-em-ups. And one of the very first shmups I was really into was a Q-em-up, Sexy Parodius. And I was into it strictly because the name was Sexy Parodius, and me and my friends would play it as like kind of a meme. But then I ended up really enjoying it a lot. So yeah, I love Q-em-ups. Fantasy Zone's another favorite of mine, just because of how cute it is. And I did put a Q-em-up on my list recently, the Tawashi. If you look at my best shmups of 2020, I put the Tawashi pretty high. one of the reasons why the gameplay is really good, but also because I really like the cute-em-up graphics a lot. Yeah, I gotta start hitting these, like Cotton, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I gotta start hitting the cute-em-ups here soon. Did I ever play any shmups on old handhelds like Game Boy or Game Gear? Yeah, I played, isn't there Gradius on Game Boy or R-Type? There's one of them on the Game Boy. I've played it. And then, of course, there's Super Mario Land has the shmupping stages. I really wish someone would make a ROM hack of all Super Mario Land, but it's all shmup. Like, get rid of the platforming stuff and just make a ROM hack of Super Mario Land with all shmup stages. That would be really cool. Yeah, come on. Someone make that happen. Astral Chain, that's the game I was thinking of. Yep. Yeah, I agree. Kai is saying he can't play open world games. I'm the same way, basically. Yeah, so it makes me hard to get hyped for new releases because so many new releases. This is why I like Nioh a lot more than Dark Souls. It isn't... That's one of the reasons why. It's because it's a level-based game. You just get in there, get playing, you know. Yeah, I have a real struggle. I really wish Metal Gear Solid 5 wasn't an open world game. I do like how it's more like spaced out, but I wished it was kind of more like MGS3, but a little bit more opened up. But the open world elements of MGS5 make it hard for me to return it to it as much as I like the gameplay. And I have 100% of the game before, but... And I do like MGS5, like the overall vibe of the game, but the open world elements are tough for me. I wish someone would ROM hack like instant travel into it. That's really good. What's the most adjacent genre if you're very good at shmups but are bored of other stuff? Beat 'em ups and running guns. Those two definitely. I was just playing Fight and Rage yesterday. Beat 'em ups and running guns, like Metal Slug and all that sort of stuff. I think those are the two most adjacent. And the rail shooters, if you can play them. Yeah, they're saying Astral Chain's really drawn out. It felt that way. 2 hours in, I was like, come on, let something happen here. Yeah, that's cool. Got Capcom arcade stick. That's really cool. The giant Capcom stick. That looks pretty cool. Steven's asking, any more collabs with Shmup Junkie in the works? Yes. We're going to be covering Spriggan, and that one will be on my channel. He did that. He did the history of Compile, and I was sitting there watching the history of Compile, because before we were going to cover Sapphire, but watching his history of Compile video, I was like, okay, now I need to play Spriggan, because I'm a huge fan of Musha, and Spriggan is basically Musha 2.0, and I actually like it. I've been playing it, and I like it more than Musha. So the next video between us, which should be hopefully within the next month or so, will be us talking about Spriggan on the PC Engine. And he's all about the PC Engine, so I think that's a great collab. I think Cotton is a cute 'em up, right? It kind of counts as one. Yep, so that's the next Direct Inject. The first Direct Inject was kind of interesting because I felt like I went a little bit too hard on the memes. It was kind of a funny thing where because the video, I think he made a video before, you know, the bullet hell one. He made a video before where he's like really memeing it up. So I thought, okay, I want to kind of match his style. So I'm going to meme it up in this video. And then it turned out he kind of like toned back his style a little bit. So then I ended up like over meming in the video. I hope people enjoyed it. I think I did kind of meme it a little too hard in that video, but the next Direct Inject, I'll be a little bit more grounded in it. Nioh 2 is still level based, yeah. Nioh 2 is pretty good, but I don't think it's as good as Nioh 1 because they added in two systems that I really didn't like. They added in a counter system like Sekiro or whatever, which is fine, but it kind of just comes to dominate the other fighting system that I think is just better, like the base fighting system, which I think is just better. And also they added this really stupid yokai system in where basically your stamina is being drained like 50% of the time while you're playing. So it becomes much more grindy and RPG and less action-oriented, and so I like Nioh 1 a lot better than Nioh 2. And I think the boss fights and level design are just better in Nioh 1. Have I ever been into ARPGs like Diablo? Abso-freaking-lutely. So in my younger days, my favorite developer was Blizzard, and my favorite games this was like in my teenage years, were StarCraft Brood War and Diablo. And Diablo 2. Yeah, Diablo. When I was a kid, I used to play Diablo on my like old Windows 98 computer, and I was legitimately scared of the third level where the butcher comes out. Yeah, but I like the original Diablo better than Diablo 2, even though Diablo 2 is the better game. Maybe just because of the vibe and the aesthetic. Yeah, I love Diablo is a huge one for me. I don't like Diablo 3 or anything Blizzard made after that, but Diablo 1 and 2 are badass. Ground Zeroes is pretty fun. It's really just it is fun. I like Ground Zeroes. It's just, you know, a small slice of the game though. Yeah, Dave's saying if you broke up MGS5 into levels, I agree too. The big problem with MGS5 too is just 2 stages basically. It's Afghanistan and the jungle, Africa. I thought we needed like a snow stage or something. Sarian saying 400k subs, that would be pretty awesome. I think the most realistic outcome is if I keep grinding like this, I might reach 10k, and I'd be happy with that. If I make it to 10k, I'd be very happy, because I think then I'd be able to do what I want to do as far as getting more opportunities to like, because the problem with being at like 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 subscribers is it's hard to get certain opportunities. Like, you remember Blazing Chrome? So when Blazing Chrome came out, I wanted to interview the developers, and I felt like, you know, my channel was so small and the other bigger channels were approaching them. It's like, you know, I don't really have a whole lot to offer these developers and stuff. But if I got to 10k, the 2 big benefits of that would be I'd be able to like make more connections happen where I could interview more developers, interview like shot triggers, interview more bigger people. And the other big thing that would be a big deal to me is I could also possibly help sales for certain games like Demonizer, Super XYX, Blue Revolver Double Action, the next Zero Ranger Team game, System Eraser game. Like, that would be a really big deal to me to like help with the marketing side of thing for indie shmups. So that's why I think those are important to me. Okay, Charlene's saying, oh, okay. I'm glad you liked the memeing in the first video. I actually put a lot of time into the part with the Futari scoring. Like, I put a lot of time actually into trying to make that sound cryptic, but it's actually accurate. So if you go back and listen to it, it sounds like I'm rambling like an idiot, but it is actually accurate to how the world record scoring in Futari actually works. It's just me trying to make it sound ridiculous as possible. What's the hardest beat 'em up you've ever 1cc'd? Ooh, that's a great question. I'm trying to think. The hardest one. Streets of Rage 4 hard mode was pretty up there. The thing about Streets of Rage 4 hard mode, and it was like a really high difficulty. It wasn't the base difficulty. It was like the higher mode. The reason why it was so hard is because Streets of Rage 4 is like a 2-hour game. And most of the difficulty comes at the end. So if you fail, you have to play another 2 hours. And I remember I like grinded the game for like literally 10 hours to get the high. I can't remember if it was hardest or harder. You know, it was like, it wasn't normal though. It was like the higher difficulty. It wasn't Insanity or the highest one though, Lunatic or whatever. But it was like the second highest difficulty or something, or it's third highest. It was up there. I think that one's probably it. Due mostly to the sheer fact that the game is 2 hours long. So every run took me 2 hours. Yeah, the Butcher was awesome. What's my favorite shmup on CPS2? Great question. I think I could answer that if I had a better idea of what shmups were on CPS2. Mars Matrix is on there, right? But I don't think Mars Matrix is probably going to be the winner. But I don't actually remember what's on CPS2. If you type up a little list of like the hard hitters, I could tell you which one I like the best. Yeah, Diablo 2 is very good. So when Blizzard came out with StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft, and Diablo 3, that's where I kind of was like, okay, they're going in a different direction. But up into that, I was a massive Blizzard fan. But until those ones came out, because I didn't really like... I hated StarCraft 2. I hated it when it came out. I think people... I don't know if that's been a consensus yet or not, but I was an early hater. Like, the day it came out, I was like, StarCraft 2 blows. Because Brood War was just so fantastic that I was really mad at StarCraft 2. Sucks that subscribers are valued over what people like you do, Mark. Feels like some communities spread good word fast. Yeah, you know, I think the thing about that, though, Gogeta, I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the one kind of silver lining to my situation is that while it's basically going to be this long grind upward for me to get more subscribers and more people, I think I'm a little bit more irreplaceable than a lot of other YouTubers, and I think that's something I'm coming to value a lot more. Like, for instance, there's some channels that cover RPGs and do a great job, but the thing about it is, you know, and they gain subscribers way faster than I do, right? Like, this is a year of hard work, and comparatively to them, they may get 4K subscribers in like a few months. The difference, though, that I've noticed, because I've been kind of following this, is those channels, it feels like they're just way too replaceable, or like their audiences will just leave at the drop of a hat. And the nice thing about me is with shmups and stuff, I mean, if you're into shmups, you're going to be around my channel, probably even if you don't like me all that much. It's just, I'm a little bit more, you know, irreplaceable in that sense. But, and hopefully too, I feel like what my channel is doing, to me, it feels a little bit more meaningful because it's not just about making myself popular, which I think I would kind of struggle with at some point. It's also like there's like clear things I can do with that popularity that make me feel good. Like, I could clearly just promote indie shmups. I could clearly start getting more opportunities, like to interview developers. And I have a direction I want to take the channel, which is if it grows larger and larger, I want to start focusing more on sort of like deeper developmental sort of stuff, like supporting indie developers more and supporting the genre like much more directly. So I think that's the silver lining, is that at least the channel has a clear direction. And I'm gonna say this on a Patreon episode because I'm making a Patreon episode about this, but I also have a backup plan. If the channel burns and basically people stop watching it, I'm just gonna hard switch over to indie shmup deving. Like, I'm just gonna put all the energy that I used to put into the channel. If people don't watch it anymore, I'll just start putting into making indie shmups and promoting them and that way. So there's a plan B, which I think is nice. Hey, Dustsoft Studios. Congrats, I love your channel. You've helped inspire me be a shmup game dev. Hey, I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, the thing about my channel that I'm the most proud of, well, the first one is like getting more people into the genre, and the second one is like creating more connections with shmup developers, because that's something that's a big deal to me. Mark, have you ever played Beat Saber? I have not. It sounds kind of cool though. Is that a rhythm game? This is a great question. Brain Place drop in the fire question today. Is Hideo Kojima a hack or a genius? Actually, I have a very particular view of Hideo Kojima, that he is both hack and genius. And I'm not saying that to meme. I think there is a certain quality of him that is absolutely genius. It's like his brain is like yin and yang, you know, the Taoist yin and yang symbol. He has both together and they swirl together, hack and genius. And sometimes the hack side can take over and just completely go on a rampage. And then other times the genius side can take over. But the thing about it is, if he didn't have that hackiness, there are certain things he wouldn't do that I really appreciate and think are awesome. So I give him, he's kind of like the Kanye West of shmups. Most people don't like Kanye West these days because of whatever, all the drama around him. But before you get lost in the drama, he's basically like the Kanye West of video games, where he is both hack and genius. Like, there are moments where you're like, this guy is on another level, coming up with the craziest, most awesome stuff. And then there's other moments where you're like, okay, he's just spinning off in this crazy direction, and he's lost touch with reality. I think that's what happens with Kojima. So not everything Kojima... So basically how I evaluate Kojima is when I look at his games, I said, okay, is the genius side winning here, or is the hack side winning? Like, genius side, definitely Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid 2. I think Metal Gear Solid 2 is like the perfect merger of his hack and genius coming together. A Metal Gear Solid 1, that's more of the genius, less of the hack. And then MGS4 is kind of starting more hacky, but there's still elements of genius in there. MGS5, same way. But with like Death Stranding, I think that's when the hack just totally took over. But I think you give him a chance, he could come right back with a genius. I think he always has that potential. That's my opinion on Kojima. He is both hack and genius. I do think it's hilarious, though, how he, like... The thing about that I really appreciate about Kojima, though, is how much of a pain in the ass he seems to be with Konami. Because, remember, he's a Japanese developer, and for the most part, from what I understand, most Japanese developers are more used to sort of playing by the rules and towing the company line. And the thing I like about Kojima is he seems to really piss off Konami even before, like, he do ridiculous stuff. And I think MGS5, part of that game is him just purposely making the budget insanely high just to stick it to Konami. So I am a fan of Kojima, but I don't just blindly think everything he does is genius. And I think Death Stranding is a little bit ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. Like, Death Stranding is when the hack side just took over. He lost touch with reality a little bit there. But I think the thing about people like Kojima, kind of like with Kanye West too, is when they have those moments of failure, the genius side can reemerge because they don't like failure. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens with Kojima's next game, because basically if everyone shits on Death Stranding and says this game sucks, this game's bullshit, he might be like, okay, fine, and he might deliver a really good game next. What's the best programming language for creating shmups? I even saw a good shmup project on Smile Basic, but I guess most are in C, right? So Fuzzlaby, I'll give you my experience. I really like GameMaker a lot, and I personally speaking, I found like most things that come out of GameMaker, like most devs that create GameMaker games, seem to be better than the ones that come out of Unity and stuff. Like, if I see a Unity shmup, I'm like, that might just be the nature of who picks GameMaker and who picks Unity type thing. But I'm gonna say GameMaker. A lot of my favorite shmups are made on GameMaker, and I like using GameMaker. I don't know though, I'm really out of touch with the other stuff. There might be better stuff out there now. I also like GameMaker seems to be really low lag. Like, all the GameMaker games that come out tend to be lower input lag. That would be my suggestion, GameMaker. There's lots of resources on how to use it too, and it's pretty intuitive. Yeah, so Dave's saying that his latest games aren't super replayable. That's exactly right. Like, MGS4 and MGS5, I barely replay them. I play MGS3, MGS2, and MGS1, especially 2 and 3, all the time. I replay them all the time. Have I ever used a Seimitsu LS40? LS32? Nap, I wish I could answer this, but I have not used an LS40. I have used the LS32, and I'm a big fan of it. I wish I could answer that for you, because I am curious. The problem is that I'm kind of out of the market on I might buy an LS40 simply to review it. I don't think I'd play it because I like my special magic Korean lover so much. I don't think I'll swap over to anything else. But I might buy one simply to review it and to compare it to the LS32. But I actually have not played one. Queen Charlene, isn't Mechanical Star Astra, isn't that in GameMaker? I'm pretty sure, right? I know Zero Ranger is in GameMaker, for sure. So Kai is asking, And Rivals of Aether says that rollback netcode is basically impossible in Game Maker. I could see that. It's just too old, probably. Doesn't rollback have to do with how shmups can reduce input lag? That's a great question, Kai. So the only way that influences shmups is if you have something like Twinkle Star Sprites or the other one that came out, Rival Mega Gun. If you have a PvP, yeah, you're probably going to want to look somewhere else so you can have that rollback netcode if you want a PvP shmup. As far as like just single player shmups, rollback kind of influences how shmups work in emulation with stuff like Retro Arch, Run Ahead. But the nice thing about Game Maker is you don't need Run Ahead for them because they are so low input latency anyway that it's the same. So for instance, Zero Ranger is 2 frames of input lag, and when you use a rollback or you use Run Ahead in Retro Arch, that basically comes out to 2 frames of input lag as well in system. So you don't need it as far as single player stuff. You only need it if you're doing multiplayer, like a Rival Mega Gun or something. Yeah, Blue Revolver is in some kind of other thing. I know Blue Revolver is in some other thing. I used to think it was Game Maker, but it's not. Okay, so NAP is saying that LS40 has a shorter throw than the 32. I love short throws, so I'd be interested to try it out. I love me some short throws, so it might be better, honestly, if the throw's just so. It could be better. Favorite release of Twinkle Star Sprites? Fightcade, right? You can play Twinkle Star in Fightcade, can't you? That would be the one, right? Because it has rollback. Getting near the end of the Mushi soundtrack. Yeah, I think I'd say give it a shot. The problem with me is that I'm willing to buy lots of levers and play with them. I know some people just want to buy one. So I think if you just want to buy one and you want a surefire hit, the LS32, you can't go wrong there. But if you're willing to give it a shot and give it a try, I think the idea of a shorter throw sounds cool. Any upcoming events, games you're looking forward to this year? Thanks, Signal. That's a great question. Yeah, I'm inceptioning you all to buy Mushi. Yes, Signal. So next month will be the Kumite. I'm definitely looking forward to that. That's an event I'm running. I'm going to be playing Dodonpachi, going for a 2-all against Jamers. That'll be an interesting experience. You'll probably whoop me. But my goal is to at least get the 2-all, which is a pretty huge undertaking to do to get it live. I might not, but at least to put a good display on it, at the very least. I have been practicing a lot. So that's the first thing I'm looking forward to. Later this year will be Shmup Slam 4, probably in the summer. Late, midsummer, probably. Looking forward to that. Shoot the Baguette. I'm going to be on Touhou Showcase pretty soon, I think. Next month, I think. That'll be cool. Touhou World Cup. Did that happen, or is that going to happen? Touhou World Cup. Looking forward to that. Shoot the Baguette. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know if there'll be a Stunfest this year with all the virus stuff. If there is going to be a Stunfest, yeah, definitely looking forward to Stunfest. Yeah, against Jamers. Yeah, no, I know. But at the very least, you can see Jamers destroy me and Dodonpachi. Or, maybe something will go wrong with his controller. There's always that chance that something happens to his controller as he plays. I think that's my best shot. Touhou World Cup most likely happening in March. Cool. Yeah. Definitely. I think I'm going to try and cover that on my channel, like, to some degree. I'm not going to, like, restream it or anything, because, the Touhou guys are streaming it. But, like, I might do, like, some kind of, like, predictions video or podcast about it or something. I'm going to try and cover it in some form on my channel. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Probably some Japanese events are going to happen, too, right? Like Shmup Mania 2 or something. Yeah, Dodonpachi is my game, yeah. But Jamers, it's also Jamers' games. He's the Western record holder in Dodonpachi, and he's a beast at the game. incredibly good. Yeah, so ZPS is saying they got the stream. So what I'll probably do, ZPS, is I'll probably do some kind of podcast type, like Sports Center style, like before the event where we make prediction. Well, you all may. I have no idea who's gonna do it, but I'll be like the moderator and bring the Touhou people on and be like, all right, who's gonna win this or whatever? Like who's, you know, like type of like a hype type thing, like a preview podcast. I think that would be pretty cool. Kind of like I did for GDQ 2020. Ever tried a Hitbox controller? Yeah, ZPS. We could do you, Gustari, maybe. ZPS and Gustari. That would be a cool combo. Ever tried a Hitbox controller? Any shmup player using one? A great question, gents. So I have tried a Hitbox before. I actually built my own. I haven't ever bought the official Hitbox because I can build arcade sticks and stuff, and it seemed a little bit silly to buy one since they're so expensive and it's just buttons, right? Like you can actually turn. It's really not that hard to turn your arcade stick into a Hitbox. I mean, obviously, you need a new case. Like you can make a new case out of basically anything, and then you just replace the button. You replace these with buttons, and you redo the layout, and now you have a Hitbox. It's really, really easy. So I don't think it's necessary to spend $200 or whatever it is to buy one. But yeah, I have made a Hitbox and played it. As far as shmup players, the thing about it is not a lot of shmup players play on like an actual Hitbox, but a ton of shmup players play on keyboard, which is essentially the same thing. So yeah, keyboard and Hitbox both could be incredibly good controllers for shmups, no doubt about it. So if you want to play shmups on Hitbox, I think that would definitely work. You just have to get used to it, I think. Okay, ZPS, Mino, and Gustari, I think that'd be cool. That would be really cool. Oh, that's a great idea, David. I never even thought about that. Yeah, the guy who's doing the Mr. port of Dodonpachi. So I am a patron to him, and I do talk to him, and he has talked to me and stuff on my preview streams. I'm gonna do a video pretty soon covering the public release, because I have been covering the betas. So I'm very curious to see what the public release looks like. My biggest concern is the slowdown, just because that's really hard to get right, and the previous betas haven't gotten it right yet. But you know, I think he could get it right, and then once he does, that would be pretty badass. That'd be pretty badass. I do like how in the recent release, I was looking through the notes, he got the C button to work. That's a big relief for me. So I'm gonna probably the next few days here, I will be covering the public release, and I'll give my thoughts on it. Try and get like not a 2-all, because I don't think I can pull that off, but some kind of like big run on it and see what I think. The main thing I'm looking out for is how accurate the slowdown is, and if he's fixed some of the AI issues, because there were some weird AI issues in the betas where like the tank would move in a direction it's not supposed to, or the stars wouldn't fall, or it's just little things like that. But yeah, that'd be cool to interview him, to be honest. That's a cool idea. I don't know why I never thought of that. How much would we need to pay you to form Mark's 11 track down and steal and dump DDP campaign? I don't think you'd have to pay me all that much. You just have to create a team and create a plan. And if it was a convincing team and plan, I'd probably be down for that. I don't think you'd have to pay me too much. I have my plane ticket there, I guess. But yeah, that definitely needs to happen. Someone needs to dump that bad boy. That would be a great plot for a movie, that's for sure. Any other questions I'm missing? I actually haven't looked at the stream itself. How many people are tuning in? Oh, cool. 60 people? That's awesome. We'll probably go for another... Let's go for another 10 minutes, shall we? And then we'll call it a video. Oh, any other questions? If we're out of questions, maybe not. I think I probably missed some, though. Imagine DOJ at AGDQ. Yeah, that needs to happen. Maybe if I ever get good enough at DOJ, I'll do it. Because you can play the 360 port, which is okay-ish. You know, it's not horrible. Let me see if there's any other questions I missed while I'm waiting for more to come in. Oh, okay. So you were asking earlier about the CPS2 ones. Progear, Gigawing, Mars Matrix, Daimahu. Probably Progear would be on the list. I think Progear is really cool. I haven't played Daimahu, though. I think the two would be most likely are Progear and Daimahu. But at this time, since I haven't played Daimahu, I'm going to say Progear. Which ROMs don't work on Shmup Arch? Basically, anything Mushihimesama and afterward, unfortunately. So the OG Mushi is the cutoff point, unfortunately. That's a Raiden game, isn't it, ZPS? So I gotta give that a try. Yeah, anything after the original Mushi, you know, Escaluda, all that stuff, unfortunately don't work. Well, and the original Mushi doesn't work. The last game that does work, that Cave released, is a DOJ. Yeah, I need to try it. So those would be the candidates, though. It would be, I think the Takumi games are cool, but I probably don't prefer them over Progear or the Raiden game, most likely. Oh, Sensori's asking, any chance of Plan A plus B? Yeah. Yeah. I think at some point, yes. I'm going to try and, like, schedule out working on my indie shmup a little bit more. Because I have a solid idea of what I want to do. The idea is, and I have a little bit of a... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build the skeleton of it using Game Maker assets and kind of have it be on foot, like in Gaiden game. But it's going to play a little bit more like a Raiden game, and it's going to be incredibly just fast-paced, like insanely. The idea, the kind of conceptual idea of the game is it's really simple. It's just, it's going to be a really simple straight-ahead shmup. You just have your more like a Raiden style game, right? Like just shooting and special weapons like in Raiden. But the big thing about it is that I want to mix in sort of like a combination of high-speed bullets and like slow Touhou walls and like caves. Like I want to try and work all three in there somehow. And then I also want to do this crazy thing where there's literally no breaks in the game at all. That's my idea, is like to have it literally not ever stop. So just see what that would be like. So there wouldn't be any boss transitions. You just literally fight into the boss. Then after you kill the boss, you get like 1 second, and then the next stage would start, and you just start fighting. And I'd try and basically cut out any sort of downtime, and just to see what that would be like, where basically if you can't ever take your hand off the arcade stick from the second, it wouldn't be that long of a game, probably like 15 minutes or something, but it would literally never stop. There would never be a break. There'd be no like, hey, let's take a moment type section. It just non-stop 15-minute shmup. I think that would be kind of cool. That would be the idea anyway. Random enemy movement, I would try and keep it along the lines of how Cave kind of works, where there would be some random, but not too much. No, I don't want it to be too random. But just kind of like Raiden Cave, where there's just enough to make it spicy, but not too random, you know, to the point where it's like a roguelite or something where you never know what's going to happen. But I think, but the replayability would come from the fact that the game literally never stops. And so it's kind of like the butterfly effect, where you'll notice in Cave, when you play like a lot of Cave, Cave puts in these little breaks to basically let you reset your position after a pattern. But there's some sections in Cave where they go a real long time without breaks. And so it's like this butterfly effect where if you never get a break in the pattern will compound and compound. Like stage 5 and DDP is like this, right? Like the first half of stage 5, there are no breaks. The stage just keeps going and going. And if you get off route, it'll just keep compounding and compounding and compounding. So the idea of this game would be, if you get off route, even by like a few seconds, it'll turn into a completely different game because you'll have to fight to get back on route, but it won't ever stop, even into a boss. Like, so if you get trapped in a corner, so let's say you get trapped in a corner, right? And you have to fight your way out of a corner. You could literally be fighting your way out of a corner and then the boss spawns. So I could see it being absolutely wild and ridiculous, but I wanted to see what would happen if you did that. Yeah, but it's like a 15-minute non-shmup, non-stop. It'll never stop. Like the break you'll get between stages, I'll try and make it like as minimal as possible so that like stuff won't spawn while you're fighting the boss. But basically after you kill that boss, next stage go. Like there's no stopping. So I'm thinking of having the stages like I think Touhou does this, right? Where they'll fade into each other really quickly. There's not like there's no transition screens. They'll just fade into each other. I think that'd be pretty cool. I don't think it'll be too hard to program either. I think the hardest part would be just coming up with really good patterns and stuff. I already have the basics, like I have the basic controls done. I have the kind of, I don't have the special weapon figured out yet because I kind of want to think how I want that to work. But yeah, it'll be simple, but it'll also just be simple and aggressive, basically. That's the idea. Twilight EX, hey, how's it going, my dude? Thanks. Any goals for how my content is? So, Twilight, that's a great question. So my goals for my content is I want it to be a multi-pronged attack. That's kind of what I want, is I want it to be like a channel in a true sense, where think about like channels, right? Like your favorite channels growing up as a kid. Like my favorite channel growing up as a kid was like Fuse or Cartoon Network, for instance. And the thing that I want to do with my channel is I want to have like different series, but they're all good. So like you like look forward to different ones, like Touhou Quest, or that's what I want to avoid. Is I want to avoid my channel becoming something like Summoning Salt's channel, as much as I like his videos, where Summoning Salt is a one-stop shop, right? It's his world record progression videos, and that's his channel, and that's like the identity of his channel. I don't want that. I want the Electric Underground to be basically like this content package of stuff, where you have the podcast, like there's core video series on the channel that everyone likes to watch, like the podcast, the Shmup topic videos, my commentary videos. I want to start introducing more like deving stuff too, like more interviews with developers, that type of stuff. That's kind of my goal for the channel, to have it be this sort of multifaceted lifestyle type of channel, rather than just being one singular video series that repeats itself over and over. Oh, Jen's asking how about like a caravan style where the game like speeds up as it goes. We'll see, Jens. I'm gonna just try and put the basic structure together, see how that works, and then if it works there, then I can start adding in some more spicy mechanics like speeding up. That would be pretty cool because you could like speed run it if you were really good. The aspect ratio is going to be pretty narrow. I already know that. I want like it to be really cloistered in, like just this hall of death, basically. I don't want it too wide of an aspect ratio. Probably your typical shmupping aspect ratio, maybe a little narrower, to be honest. Signal asks, does your hand get fatigued or cramps or eye strain from long sessions? If so, how do you alleviate it? Great question, Signal. So for me, I think this varies from player to player. Oh, I gotta answer David's question too before I forget. From player to player, for me, my greatest area of fatigue, without a doubt, are my eyes, not my hands. Especially since I play on arcade stick. In my opinion, arcade stick is the best for long sessions. So if you're like a pad player, or I don't know about keyboard because I'm bad at keyboard, but I know for pad. If you're a pad player and your hands are getting like tired a lot, I would maybe recommend start looking into stick, because that's much larger muscle groups. The endurance will hang in there. Like, I never have hand problems with playing shmups for like massive sessions, up to like 8-hour sessions. The hands stay there. The problem are the eyes. The eyes start to go for me. That's where I really struggle. I've been trying different things. Like I bought these, they're not in here unfortunately, but I bought these blue light glasses, and I started playing with like blue light glasses on, or I started like playing with the color of my monitor a little bit. Having G-Sync really helped me though, because I think the problem with V-Sync off, well, I did do that for a long time because it reduces input lag, because I think the tears in the screen do kind of give you some eye fatigue after a while. So maybe that's my advice. Play on arcade stick and play with FreeSync and G-Sync. Those would probably help a lot. Kay saying, I absolutely love your Patreon Q&A videos. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, the 7th Day Electric podcast. Yeah, that's really fun. Before I forget, let me scroll up a little bit, because someone asked a really good question I don't want to miss. Oh, yeah, David. So David Martins asked, do you think we will see high refresh rate 120 FPS shmups within the next few years? David, this is something I want to see happen. Will we see it happen? I think there will be a few that experiment. The first one that I know is going to experiment with it is Blue Revolver Double Action. Double Action will have a 120 FPS mode. And it's not a shmup, but if you want to try this out a little bit, you can play Enter the Gungeon. That has a high frame rate mode you can play, and it's pretty awesome. I don't think we will see it all that much, but hopefully I can kind of push that idea, because that's something I want to see happen. At least like a mode for it, right? Like a 120 FPS mode. The problem with it is that a lot of shmups are tie their sort of sequences to their frame rates, like, you know, old school style. So if you double the frame rate, the game speed doubles, which isn't good. So devs will have to start coding their games like I can't remember what the trick is for it, but you have to code it a certain way so that it's independent of the frame rate. Like, you have to have some kind of timer system. I vaguely understand how that works. Hey, thanks, Pro Utico Ideas. Thanks for the congrats. I'm glad the passion's been helpful for you. Yeah, interviews. Yeah, the interviews. There's 2 interviews in the can right now. I'm working on one with Twilight. That'll come out in a few days here. Another one with Bog Hog. That's really good. That'll come out pretty soon. Oh, Casey's saying that he's been taking a break from shmups because hand fatigue from death grip in the stick. And the thing about KZ is he plays Ketsui and he does that empty locking, and that's pretty hard on your hands, isn't it? Oh, Peter Cap asked if another channel gave Project Starship their top shmup of 2020 award. What do I think of that? I think I put Starship at number 10 for me. I wouldn't give it my top rating. That I gave to Lest 3, right? And I gave Demonizer number 2. I think Project Starship's a really cool game, though. I think if you're a fan of roguelites, that's what it is, right? I could see that. If you're really into roguelites, I think that's probably the best shmup roguelite I've ever seen. So that's a way to go there. I personally am not all that into roguelites, so that's probably why I didn't rate it as highly. But it is well made. It's a great game. Dead Stretch asks, but I did give it 10. So, and there were other things I was considering. So hopefully it gives it some love there. Dead Stretch asks, thoughts on sentiment of hardcore players not embracing new shmup entries into the genre? Great question, Dead Stretch. So I think this upcoming episode with Bog Hog, where we talk about Euro shmup syndrome and stuff, is probably going to really answer this question the best, because I think really hardcore players are actually fairly open to new games because we like them. Like Jamers especially, like he's super open to new games, and I actually talk to him all the time for recommendations. Like for my list, top 10 shmups, I was like, okay, Jamers, point me to some games that came out this year that maybe I haven't seen. And he's the one who pointed me to the Tawashi. So I think a lot of the really hardcore players are into newer shmup releases for sure, especially since we kind of have no choice at this point. Some people on the farm, though, can be pretty conservative about that stuff, and that's a shame. But yeah, I know what you mean. Some people are like that, though. I think it's a bad idea, because if you want to see the genre progress, you're going to have to support the indie scene, because that's how it's going to progress. It's not going to come from a larger studio. And I don't think larger studios, you know, besides like Cave or like the Japanese studios, but I don't think like some large studio could just show up and make an amazing shmup, because you need to have a real in-depth understanding of the genre, which is, I think, honestly, a lot more important than having like raw resources, right? So I don't think, you know what I mean? Like some big studio couldn't just make a really good shmup. I don't think it's got to come out of the indie scene, basically, or the old devs coming back for a second round, like Cave or someone like that. Hey, thanks. He says, congrats on the 4K. Thanks, my man. I wish I could pronounce the person with the Japanese writing. I wish I could pronounce your name or know what it is, but I am hopelessly gaijin when it comes to Japanese. I have no idea. I can't read. You know, it's like hieroglyphics to me. I have no idea what could be said there. No problem, David. No, 2x game speed is not a problem. That's kind of a funny idea. I've kind of thought about maybe for fun playing some shmup in like Shmup Arch at 1.5 speed just to see what that would be like. It would be really hard though. Oh, Sensori's saying Refrain. Yeah, Refrain's really good. It's a hidden gem in my opinion. Refrain is absolutely fantastic game. Yeah, Refrain. I think Refrain's one of those ones, Sensori, where it came out long ago in a galaxy far away, but then the Steam re-release is more recent. But I think it began life as like a Hellsinker type, you know, Dojin Japanese shmup. Very good game, Refrain. I'll probably have to do another video on Refrain. Refrain was the very first review I think I ever did on my channel, because Dingo liked it so much. Felipe asks, congrats on the 4K. How low are your expectations for the Progear Switch port from Capcom Arcade Stadium? Great question. Well, the thing about Progear is it's pretty hard to mess up because it's a CPS2 title, and to be honest, it depends on who's making it. Do you all know who's making it? The people who did the Street Fighter Anniversary, the Third Strike, that one's fairly solid. Port-wise, I mean, it's fairly solid. Not amazing, but fairly solid. So if that team is the one doing it, I think it could probably be pretty good. I think the two things you just got to watch for, I think, okay, so with the Progear CPS2, I think it is extremely likely you will have accurate slowdown and stuff, because CPS2 emulation is just really solid now, so it's really hard to mess that up at this point. But I think the thing you're going to have to watch for is the input lag and if there's like save states, basically. Those are the two things I would keep an eye out for. I think the slowdown and all that will probably be accurate, though. I mean, who knows? Who knows? They could make some crazy decision and like force 60 FPS or something crazy, but I think Capcom are fairly good at porting things depending on who they hire to do it. Because, you know, they do have to port like arcade games like Third Strike and stuff, and Street Fighter 2 1,000 times, so I think it could be good. I don't know though. Be kind of interested to check it out. Skycatcher says, congrats on the 4K. Thanks, my dude. So I guess, did I answer the question about the Capcom Progear? I'm saying, like, 50-50. It could be good. It could be bad. It could go either way there, I think. I think if they have that one studio who did the anniversary working on it, I think it's probably most likely going to be fairly solid. They probably won't add... Hopefully they add save states, right? See ya, Signal. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, JBRPG asks, if you did a VTuber, what kind of avatar would you become? Great question. I would be... Okay, I'll tell you who I'd be. I would be Dun Peel from Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. And I'd want it to be like that high resolution, high like style. That would be pretty cool. Or maybe someone from Robotech, because those are my favorite anime shows. And if you're a VTuber, you got to be anime, right? So the dude from Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, or maybe a character from Robotech, like Roy Folker from Robotech, maybe. Roy, he's got the hair. Or Captain Global, he's got the Tom Selleck mustache. I could see that. That'd be pretty cool. Captain Global from Robotech. Oh, I don't think I would be a cute anime girl. I think it would be a little bit bizarre if I was a cute anime girl. I could be an angry, aggressive anime girl maybe, but I don't know how cute I am. I don't think I have a very cute personality. Are you planning on doing any more Ninja Gaiden 2 or any other character action game content? Yes. I'm going to do a Ninja Gaiden 2 video because I got the Xbox One X, spent $300 on it for Ninja Gaiden 2, so yes, there will be a video on Ninja Gaiden 2 on the Xbox One X fairly soon. That's gonna happen. Yes. There's gonna be more Ninja Gaiden 2 content. That will happen because, yeah, I can't let that $300 go to waste. And it's one of my favorite games. What third-party controllers do you recommend for shmups on Switch? Oh, I just had it in my hand, but it's inside. I'm not going to go inside and get it. So I do have a recommendation. I have two recommendations. The first one is get the Hori D-pad. I think that's just what it's called. I got the Japanese blue one. That one I really like that. The Japanese blue Hori D-pad. Joy-Con. That's number one. The second one to get is this Hori Split Pad Pro. And what you do is you take the Hori D-pad, the blue one, and you put that on the left side. And then you take the right side of the Split Pad Pro, you put it on the right side. You put those together. That's how my Switch looks. And that's where you get the magic. You get a really nice D-pad, but then you got really nice buttons, better grip, less hand strain. You can kind of support it a little bit more, holding the right side. That's the way to go. A lolly? I think if I were going to be an anime girl, I'd be a hot one. I'd be the girl. I guess I must really like Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. I'd be the chick Elizabeth from Vampire Hunter D. She's kind of like classy. You can see that. Classy, gothic, what's that called? Gothic, Elizabethan style. I could see that, you know, with the corset and all that sort of stuff. I like gothic stuff. Oh, are you talking about if you're playing it? I thought you meant in handheld mode. Yeah, in handheld mode, I have if you're playing on docked mode, I have a whole video about this where you can mod an 8-bit stick, an 8-bit Saturn pad, if you're gonna go with that route, yeah, I recommend that for sure. That's mine how it goes. Hey, thanks, Sensori. Witch Hunter Robin. Oh, is that the girl in the red outfit with the short hair? Is that the girl from Vampire Hunter D? She's pretty cool. Could see that. I'd probably grow my hair out a little bit though. Yeah, my flip grip Frankenstein. Yeah, definitely worth it though. Someone from Death Smiles. Yeah, I do like gothic style. That's one of my favorite things about Death Smiles is the gothic style of stuff. That kind of went out of fashion, right? Like people aren't into gothic stuff anymore, but I've always been a huge fan of that stuff, like that aesthetic. Vampires, all that stuff. F3000? Oh yeah, that's the Mayflash, right? Rip scene kids, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a scene kid, I was an emo kid before scene, like 2008, sort of like Fallout Boy style, you know what I mean? Kind of that era, before they started wearing like purple pants and all that. Like skater, I guess is kind of like a skate punk style back in 2008. That was my style in high school. And then everyone started wearing pink pants. I was like, I'm not quite, you know what? I like the grungier sort of skater punk look. It was funny, is a lot of kids in my high school were like lighter haired. So they all dyed their hair black, but I had like black hair naturally. So I was like, okay, well, no need to dye my hair. Deathstret's asking... My Chemical Romance. No, Casey, I wasn't My Chem. That was a little too much. Fallout Boy, basically, would be more characteristic of my style. You know what I mean? It was like that sort of... You had like the hair. You wore like skater... You wore like the hats. Kind of like this, actually. You wore the hats. You had like jeans, but they weren't like super tight yet. But then you had like the big belts and the... What are the shoes? The 80s shoes. I can't remember what those are called. Thursday? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Thursday's a little bit more along the lines. Yeah, something like that. I'm trying to think of... Actually, the band that I most resembled was probably At the Drive-In. Do you all remember At the Drive-In, their style? The Converse, yeah. Actually, there's actually a really easy one. Just look up At the Drive-In Relationship of Command. That is how I dressed, basically. The guys from... They're from Texas, though, and I'm from Idaho. Texas and Idaho styles were very similar. Yeah. Like, people in Texas and Idaho dressed a lot alike. Yeah, Relationship of Command is one of my favorite albums. I absolutely love it. I always thought it was stupid that the guitarist went on to say how bad the album was. It's like, okay, now you've gone hip. You know, that's a bad sign when you make like a fantastic work and then you go all hipster about it later in your career. That means like, come on. You can't hold up to it. Taking Back Sunday. Yeah, that's another good example. Yeah, Taking Back Sunday would be more long. Yes, I actually wore a Taking Back Sunday shirt for years. Speaking of it, I had this green Taking Back Sunday shirt that I wore all the time. They're one of my favorite bands. Yeah, if you all tune into my streams, you'll probably know that every now and again I'll play some 80s emo music. Basically like Fall Out Boy, Taking Back Sunday, Brand New. I'm a little scared to play Brand New though, because I don't want to get like banned or something. Brand New, At the Drive-In, all that stuff. The Used, My Chemical Romance, yeah, all that stuff. You all know. Mall emo, basically. It wasn't that the subgenre. If you watch that channel, Punk Rock MBA, he describes it as mall emo. Like that's basically it for me. Mall emo. Oh, Alex is on fire. Charlene, that's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites. Their second album, Watch Out, one of my favorites, absolutely. The funny thing is, Charlene, is I always pronounced the name of the band Alexis on Fire. And then when someone corrected me and they're like, no, it's Alex on Fire, I was severely disappointed. I was like, Alex? Because I have a little bit of like a dyslexia. You probably can tell by me trying to read this chat. I actually have a little bit of trouble reading things unless I like put them up to my face, probably because my vision sucks. So, and I have a problem where I just assume words. I'm like autocorrect. I'll assume words before I finish reading them. So I just saw like the IX in there. I thought it was Alexis on Fire. And I just kind of thought that for a really long time. Then someone's like, no, it's Alex on Fire. I was like, Alexis on Fire is actually a better name though, right? Yeah, bad player saying it. Read it as Alexis on Fire, right? Alexis on Fire? Maybe it is Alexis on Fire. I don't know. It's hard to say. Hey, Bootrex. Yeah, we're in a major hangout session. I probably should have ended the stream like 15 minutes ago, but people are still chatting, so we'll keep it rolling. Because it's fun. I'm not going to do this much, you know. The next one will be 8K if we ever get there. My favorite Touhou game, probably Imperishable Night so far, but that could change on Touhou Quest. That could change because, you know, you never know what ones I could come across. I did really like the one I played last time. What was it? Embodiment of Scarlet Devil. That one's up there. I liked Embodiment of Scarlet Devil a lot. So, I think right now for me, number 1 is Imperishable Night. Number 2 is Embodiment of Scarlet Devil so far. Yeah, I did like Mars Volta as well. I have a funny history where I collected their records and I spent like $200 on Francis the Mute vinyl. I don't know if it's still worth that much money now, but this is when I had no money. I was dead broke and I spent $200 on Francis the Mute vinyl and I could not justify it to myself. Like, I was like, oh shit, okay, I can't pay I had to scrounge for rent because I spent $200 on a freaking Francis the Mute vinyl. Still have it though. I haven't played the newer games yet, but I'm looking forward to them a lot. The newer Touhou games, because I really like the graphical improvements on them. So I'm really looking forward to them when I get there. Could Shmup Arch run on Xbox Series X dev mode? I think it probably could, Philippe. I think it probably could, yes. Most likely, yes. But I haven't confirmed that. Time to sleep. KZ, whoa. You going to sleep at 9? That's a responsible adult. Night, my dude. I don't know. I think they're up there though, right? ZPS is looking forward to when I get absolutely. ZPS is looking forward to when I get absolutely punished by UFO. I'm kind of looking forward to that too, to be honest. Oh, you're on the East Coast time zone. Oh, wow. I never knew. Isn't that funny how, like, on Discord, people can, like, hang out and chat? Meanwhile, you're, like, moving across the country and that doesn't come across. It is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, KZ, well, I thought KZ was in Cali. Have you ever played Rec on the new 3DS? No. Is that a shmup? I have a new 3DS too, so if it's a good one, I'll have to buy it and play it, because I do have one. That's cool, KZ. Oh, nice. Yeah, I've done that drive myself. It's crazy. It takes forever. Oh, okay. So I think I could make that happen, ZPS. I did a cross-country drive once. And yeah, that was quite a journey. So many hours in the car. Rekka is a Famicom shmup. Oh, okay, so I probably could emulate it then, right? I'll have to give it a try. Well, if you go back to Cali, I don't know if you are or not, you'll get another chance. The down and back. Oh, on the Mister too, yeah. I got my Mister right here. Oh, it's up there. I'm not going to get up and grab it. All that's within reach are my arcade stick, my OSSC, my heater, my Dreamcast. I can grab my Dreamcast for no reason. I have emulated the 3DS version of it. I think I have it on my 3DS cons, Zonk, through some very legal means on my 3DS. Some very legal means. I'll give it a shot, yeah. That's cool, it's Yogawa's first game. It's always interesting to see their histories. This is kind of a cool background here when it's in the credits like this. Might have to use that in other videos. It's kind of cool, right? When it's in the credit sequence. I can imagine, yeah. Yogawa doesn't play around. Cool. So let's look at the clock. We're gonna give it... Okay, so we're gonna give it 15 minutes for real, or until people just get bored and leave and stop asking questions. Whichever happens first. Hey, thanks, Game Boy Guru. See, people need to go to sleep. See, this is how degenerate I am as far as sleep schedules. For me, I look at the clock, I'm like, 11? The night has just begun for me. That's something I need to work on this year, though, is getting more sleep. Because I'm out of control with my sleep schedule right now. It's been fun doing this, though. Take too many naps. Yeah, the thing is, Bad Player, I took a nap like 3 hours ago, so I'm charged up now. Probably go for a jog after this stream. Beat Saber. Okay. I definitely have to check it out and see what it is. Yeah. Bad Player, I do that from time to time as well. Sometimes not on purpose. Sometimes I'll just sit down and fall asleep. Turbo's asking if I tried the new DDP quirk. No, I've tried Beta 3 just last week, right? And since then, he went on a deving rampage and did the public release. But that'll come out soon, Turbo. Probably in the next day or 2 or 3. That'll be one of my next videos. I'm kind of trying to hold off because I have like if you look at my channel, you look at my videos, I have like a string of Dodonpachi videos. I'm like, okay, I want to like give my audience a break before I come back for the core review, you know. Keep some variety there. What's my favorite rhythm game? Okay, don't judge me. Dance Dance Revolution is my favorite rhythm game. Because I like to move. I like to dance. And I think it's fun. Dance Revolution is my favorite rhythm game. Do people still like Dance Revolution? Or is it too corny at this point? I like it though. Plus, it's like the kind of rhythm game you can play with like friends and stuff that aren't really all into games. You know, you can bust out the Dance Revolution. Yeah, Dance Revolution is my favorite rhythm game. Well, the thing about it, the boot Rex, is that the 90s and early 2000s were such a corny period in history that it didn't stand out at the time. Like, if you look back, it's hard to realize that now. Also, I'm older now, so like the threshold for corniness also goes down as you get older. But still, just as an era, the 2000s and 90s were like max corniness. They were extremely corny times. So playing Dance Dance Revolution was not that far off of all the other corny stuff we did, right? But I love that. I love that era and that stuff. Yeah, exactly. 90s corniness is just great. Like Parappa the Rappa, all that stuff. That's awesome. I'm all about making custom controllers, so I think that's really cool. I tried to make my own custom mod for a Sega Saturn pad where I put in like micro switches for it. It didn't go well. It worked technically, but it was absolutely insane, and the micro switches were way too heavy. So I gave up on it, but I did spend a good few weeks working on that, thinking I was some kind of genius. Because I wanted to make it like the PSP pad, basically, but on a Saturn pad. That was going to be my brilliant... the concept is still good, but just couldn't pull it off. Matthew asks, what shmups have the best scoring systems / leaderboards? I think the shmup with the best leaderboard are the M2 ports, by far. By far. So, Ketsui Destiny, Battle Grega, Revision 2016, Esperade, all the M2 ports have the best leaderboards. As far as the best scoring system, that's a great question. I'm a big fan of Dodonpachi's, but I don't think I could ever say it's the best, because it's kind of insane. I think Grega's really up there. I think another really great scoring system. Ketsui. Probably Ketsui is like the correct answer, right? Overall, Ketsui probably has the best scoring system. DOJ is up there as well. DOJ and Ketsui, probably. Grega, I love Grega's because it's kind of insane. That's what I kind of like about it. Same thing with Dodonpachi. Both of Dodonpachi and Grega are both kind of insane with their scoring systems. So they're probably my favorites, but I think the best ones are probably Ketsui and DOJ, probably. I'm going to do a video on Stella Vanity. I need to. That game, it looks awesome. I have no idea how the scoring system works in that game, but the game itself looks crazy cool. So I'm going to have to play it and review it here pretty soon. That's on my to-do list. Oh, that's a great question. So Dead Stretch asks, what are the best shmups to just play for 1cc and not worry about scoring? There are some in mind. I'm trying to think what they are. Mushi, the one we see playing here. Now Kiwi would beg to differ because he's a scoring person. But I think generally speaking, most people do think that Mushi's scoring system is kind of busted and not really all that important. Not all that great, I guess. So Mushi would probably be up there, the original. I think Futari is not the case because Futari, they did a better job with that. Another one that's basically really survival focused. We're getting to the voice samples now. Like Touhou games, right? Aren't there a lot of Touhou games like that? But I guess maybe that doesn't count. Oh, then there's like Batsu Gun. Batsu Gun for sure. Like, don't worry about the scoring system in Batsu Gun because it's kind of ridiculous. But people do counter stop Batsu Gun special, so I guess if you want to go for a counter stop. I think like Musha's scoring is broken. I think I have the highest Musha score because I figured out how to do the rollover. Because there's a counter stop, but if you play through the rest of the game just outside the counter stop, you get a score rollover. So there's that. A lot of those older ones, Musha, Spriggan, all those types of ones, just play them for survival in my opinion. Axelay, UN Squadron, all that stuff. I don't think playing them for score is all that important. Colin's asking, is Stell Vanity good? I'm probably thinking that it is. I haven't played it, but from the look of it, yeah, probably. I think Stell Vanity, I haven't played it yet, but just by the look of it, looks fantastic. Any other questions that I missed? Oh, Bootrest asks, what are your next goals with this YouTube channel? Goal number 1, Boot, is to keep the ball rolling, because if you look at my analytics, they do this, and maybe this is how YouTube just works. Is does this staircase where Shmup Slam 3 was this huge spike, and then from there I've actually stayed up there. I've stayed up. So the goal is to just continue the staircase to hopefully get towards the next one that I'll do a celebration stream for is 8K, which is hopefully, you know, within the year. You know, if YouTube's crazy because you never know what's going to happen. The stair could just keep going upward, right? And I could hit 8K in a matter of like half a year, or it could be like a whole nother year, or I could never hit it, right? It's just hard to really say what's going to happen. But as far as the numbers wise, the ultimate goal is to make it to 10K, like the realistic goal, I think, where I probably, unless it is for sure not possible, I'll probably keep at it at least until I make 10K. But after that, but besides that, as far as the content, I just want to make a really good sort of portfolio of content. I was kind of talking about this earlier, where I don't want there just to be like one signature thing everyone tunes in for. I want this to be a true channel where people look forward to like different series, like it has some sort of crossover between the viewers. Like, oh, the podcast, like most people will watch the podcast episodes, or will tune in for like the more best of whatever top videos, then also the reviews, interviews. I'm gonna do another Shmup Saga. The next one is DOJ, and I'm gonna try and really ramp up the production on that. And then also the live events. So we got the Kumite coming up next month. That would be interesting to see how that goes. Then also Slam 4. So to have like a nice portfolio of different content, and also like my uncut stuff, that I don't really expect to get as many views, because that's more like just me rambling on things I want to ramble about. And also, I'm gonna continue doing some anime reviews. The next one I think you all will either enjoy or cringe at. It's gonna be Sailor Moon Season 1, because I was playing that Sailor Moon beat 'em up, and after playing that beat 'em up, I was hit with the nostalgia. I was like, I should watch. There's not a lot of Sailor Moon content out there either, so I was like, I should do like a Sailor Moon Season 1 review. So that'll be my next anime review, which will be pretty soon here. So that's kind of the overall goal of the channel for the next year, is keep up the momentum. Definitely try and improve my production values. That's a constant goal of mine. I'm hoping video by video, like it's just gonna be what I'm going for. I have not played Sainmora. No, I have not. I remember Jamers telling me about it when I first sort of showed up to Shmups, and he didn't seem to be a big fan of it. So I was like, okay, well, Jamers doesn't like it. I'm not sure how much I'll like it. We tend to have very similar tastes in games. And it's usually pretty expensive, so I haven't bought it. But, you know, maybe I'll try it at some point. Hey, you liked my Star Wars video? I'm glad you liked that. I put a lot of work into that one. Yeah, I need to remember when I make the TV or anime reviews, like I always remind myself that those just aren't going to get as many reviews or as many views, because basically the way it works on YouTube is they're not discoverable content like that. No one will come across that video randomly. It will not happen. Someone's not going to type into their search engine, you know, Star Wars Disney trilogy review, and my video will not come up. They would have to like scroll through like 6 pages of other videos to find mine. So they'll never be found organically. The way they'll be found is through my other content, you know, through my sub box or just randomly like fans of my channel. So they just have a much tougher time getting seen. So those ones I just do just to kind of add some variety, and also because I feel like it. So, but I do know those will most likely never get all that much attention or anything. Fighting game 1cc's? I might give that a try. You know, that'd be kind of funny. Well, I'm glad you liked the Melee documentary video. Yeah, I felt pretty validated because when I posted that on the Reddit, you know, what I will try to do is I will try to put those videos on like Reddits and stuff. So like my Sailor Moon video, I will throw it on some kind of Sailor Moon Reddit. But the way the internet works is if you're not known to the Reddit thread, they will tend to just flame you and attack you just on principle. And so when I posted that Melee review to the Melee thread, like all the comments were like, who does this guy think he is? He's stupid or whatever. But then it turns out like all the points I make in that video, like weeks later, a ton of other people started making those points. I was like, okay. So I was a little ahead of the curve here. So I think now if people watch that video, they'll ironically will probably think that I'm just saying things that people were saying at the time. But I literally made that video the day after the thing came out because I was so annoyed about it. Is that true? Is that really true, Beat? Well, that's cool. If that's true, Cons, I'm happy to hear that because I didn't know that. You also have to remember, I'm in the eye of the storm, so I have no idea. It's actually really hard to tell what works and what doesn't work, what people find and what people don't find. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Sailor Moon. I'm really looking forward to talking about Sailor Moon because I think there's some fun subjects in the show that I would never get the chance to talk about in any other content, right? Like Sailor Moon, because the thing about the reason why I want to make the video so much is Sailor Moon is like it's almost like a Disney show where, you know, like in older, like Boy Meets World, for example. Like I love Boy Meets World. In no way am I going to be able to sell Boy Meets World to my audience for the most part, but it's like Boy Meets World where a lot of the episodes sort of have like a theme and like a life lesson in them. And so I think it'd be fun to talk about that stuff. And it's in the Sailor Moon episodes. Like there's one about like eating disorders and stuff. I think that'd be really cool. So I'm really looking forward to the Sailor Moon, mostly because of that, because I get to talk about topics that are fun and kind of interesting, and Sailor Moon's kind of a fun show too. Have I ever played the SNES JRPG Sailor Moon game? No, but I did play the Sailor Moon beat 'em up on my channel, and I was loving it. By Jaleco, that was a great game. Broken and insane, but awesome. It's one of those games where Jaleco has a real talent for that. Jaleco, I might make a video on Jaleco, to be honest, because they're a developer that are really growing on me. Where they're like the RC Cola of Capcom or something like that, but they're also kind of awesome. Yeah, that's my opinion on Jaleco. They're like I don't know if your Europeans probably don't know what this is, but so there's this brand called RC Cola that was in like Albertsons, I think, and Sam's Club, where it's a generic version of like Coke and Diet Coke and root beers and stuff, but it's kind of strange, and it kind of hasn't acquired. It has its own style to it. So, like for me, sometimes even though it's not as good as a real Coca-Cola, there's something about the RC colas that's just good, especially the root beers. I kind of think like Jaleco's like that, where it's not as good as Capcom. You can never argue that, but it's weird and interesting enough that you kind of can develop a taste for it. I think that Sailor Moon beat 'em up is definitely in that realm. Yeah, Dave's saying RC Cola. He knows what. I think Americans know what that is. That's pretty common in America. Gotta have the RC Cola. My parents would not ever buy RC Cola, Dave, because they're extremely in love with Diet Coke. That would never hold up to their taste test. Not in a million years. Yeah, Orange Crush, the grape. So RC Colas that I really like are the Orange Crush, the grape, and the root beer. Those are my favorites. I never played Kaneko. Yeah, the Sailor Moon game is broken. Yeah. That fighting game, it seems pretty awesome though. Alrighty, let's take a look at the viewer count here. Okay, for real this time, 10 more minutes, then we'll call it. That's funny. Yeah, well, I think Europe is known. If you're in Europe, I'm not sure where you are in the world, but doesn't Europe have insanely impressive Cokes and Diet Cokes, right? Aren't they supposed to be better than American? I wouldn't know, but supposedly, right? This is my favorite when you fight the last boss here. It looks really cool on the background. Oh, okay. Oh, good old Butterfingers. Yeah. In middle school, I ate a Butterfingers every day and gained too much weight, so I had to stop. Freaking Butterfingers. They also are really bad on your teeth. They are delicious, though. Yeah, so I can get Mexican Coke here in Idaho. We're not that far from Mexico. We have lots of Mexican, like you can buy Mexican candies, Mexican Coke, all that stuff. Yeah. So I have tried that. I thought that is good. Yeah, this is like, that's a real habit I have. I'm like the Frieza arc with my streams and stuff. The best one is if you watch my Esperate stream from like a few days ago, that's 9 hours long. There's probably 3 hours of me saying last run, then I die and I'm frustrated. Last run. It goes on for like 3 hours. So, yeah, I have a real habit of doing that. If I'm feeling the vibes, I just keep it rolling. Yeah, probably. We get stuff from Texas and Mexico here. That stuff's really easy to find. Like you can go buy it at Winco here. Like you can go buy Mexican Coke here at Winco. It's not hard to get. Mexican Coke, Mexican Coca-Cola. You can probably get Mexican Coke at Winco as well, but Mexican Coca-Cola. Huh, I'm looking at Sibi. I tried Shing today. Huh, I haven't tried that. Crispy Crunch bars. I'm not a fan of Crunch. I don't like Nestle's chocolates. So, unfortunately, Crunch falls into that. I basically only like fancy chocolates or Hershey's, but like I'm not a fan of Nestle's chocolates. Oh, that's cool. Brian moved to Idaho. That's really cool. How much would I pay for a Dodonpachi PCB? So I've seen them going for $1,000. If I had $1,000, I would pay it. Like I could. It's not that I can't buy. The thing about it is like, you know, as an adult, like if I was in my 20s and I do have the money in the bank to just throw and buy one, but I don't, you know, it's not very responsible, and I can't, you know, I'm trying to improve my savings situation rather than diminish it. So as far as like what I would pay these days, if I saw one for $500, I'd probably buy it. But $1,000, I could afford it, but you know what I mean? It's like fiscally irresponsible for me at this point to do that. I'm not quite enough of a high roller to pull off dropping $1,000 on something like that. But if I saw one for $500, I'd probably buy it. Mostly, I'm not really all that interested in PCBs that much overall, because I have a it's too high up there, I can't grab it, but I have a okay, hold on one sec. I'm actually gonna grab it. Hold on. Since y'all tuned in this long, I'll show you. Be right back. Okay. I got up and grabbed it. So, I have these PGM cards. I was going to grab my PGM, but it's all hooked in, and nah, that ain't going to happen. I don't want to try and unhook it. But I have the cards anyway. So, I have a PGM with Katsui, Espgaluda, and DOJ Black Label. And so, those are some of the best shmups around. And I have basically arcade versions of them. Yeah, it was a PGM, you got it. And the thing about it is I almost never play the damn thing. I almost never play it, even though I own it. So that's why I've kind of shied away from getting too in-depth into other PCBs, because, I mean, my behavior has shown that I will just play them emulated on my CRT or on my monitor, even though I literally have the PGM, just because the hassle of hooking it up, and I don't have a whole lot of space in here. But the thing about the Dodonpachi PCB, the reason why I would buy a Dodonpachi PCB specifically is because Japanese events will not allow me to emulate Dodonpachi and participate in their events. GDQ will not allow me to emulate Dodonpachi and participate in their events. So, and that is why I would actually buy a Dodonpachi PCB if I could, you know, if I found one for like $500. Mostly so I'd be allowed to use it in Japanese events if I could, you know, if I wanted to apply for GDQ or apply for a Japanese, like Shmup Mania or something. You gotta have the PCB, because the console ports of that game are horrible, and I would never play them in like a live demonstration type setting. So, but other than that, I'm not really too interested in grabbing PCBs unless they're just dumb cheap or something like that. I do have all the equipment for it. One day, I think one day though, when I get hopefully to be a bit more of a high roller and have more space and all that, and I get a cab and I invest in all that, then I can see myself going Buffy style and, you know, buying all kinds of PCBs and all that stuff, because it is cool. Dead Stretch is asking, do I have a cab? Or really asked, do I have a cab? No, but I do have a massive CRT. Here. Since this stream's going off the rail anyway, I'll show you. You can kind of see, you can see my reflection in it too. There's the mic. But yeah. I don't think it's plugged in. Yeah, it's not plugged in. I think here, let me plug it in. You can see how small my studio is. See? And then I can emulate games on it. So that's basically my cab. It's a giant CRT it's a giant Sony Trinitron that's laying on its side that sits next to me in all the videos and stuff. But I can't, it's so huge I can't put it in a cab. It just sits on its side. And I sit on the floor when I play it. My camera's mad at me now. Because I don't know why it's mad at me. Hold on. There we go. The gain was really high. Also, I'm now being bathed in a massive white light because my CRT's on. So it is not, I use S-Video on it, and I use the Extron Emosha. So my computer outputs VGA, it goes into the Extron Emosha, that drops it down to 240p, and puts it out on S-Video 240p. That's all this thing can accept. It can't accept RGB or anything. So for my TV, the way it works is I have a GTX 970 with VGA output. And I think most graphic cards coming out now, this graphic card I really like because it does G-Sync and it does VGA, which is like a very small selection of graphics cards do both G-Sync and VGA. So that's why I probably won't upgrade my graphics card for a very long time. And I probably always will have it. I might just have two graphics cards, but yeah, you basically need a graphic card that can put out VGA, and then you need an Extron Emosha. That's how I do it. I know you can do some other sort of stuff, but the problem is like those Groovy MAME graphics cards, you know, those old Groovy MAME graphic cards, they can't handle like heavier games. They can't handle Mushi. They can't handle like you know, the Steam ports. They can't handle heavier stuff. They can't handle Shmup Arch. So that's why I think the Extron Emosha route's better. You playing any modern games currently? I was thinking about getting Hitman 3. I'm a huge fan of the Hitman series. Huge fan. And the new Hitman games have been good. Hitman Reboot was really good. Hitman 2, from what I played, was really good. I have only played a little bit of it, but it was really good. So, Hitman 3, potentially. That's probably it. The amount of the modern games that I play has really gone down these days. Nioh, but, you know, I've been playing Nioh for years now. Does that still count? Nioh, Ninja Gaiden 2. That's not really, like, a recent release. The recent release I'm thinking about getting is Hitman 3. Hi, Empring. The CRT is insanely heavy. This thing is, I don't know how much it weighs, but it is crazy heavy. I did not carry it myself. It took me and my brother hauling it up a staircase and down a staircase. The thing is crazy heavy. My brother helped me carry it. No, I couldn't carry it myself. Oh, Doom Eternal. I do need to play that because I really liked Doom 2016. So I'll probably play Doom Eternal. Yeah, maybe I'll play and review Doom Eternal. Why not? If it's good. I heard about, so last Gogeta, I heard about that one, Devil's Third, and I heard it was pretty awful, but if he's made one since then, I haven't heard about them. I haven't played Devil's Third. I've heard it's awful, but I haven't actually played it, so I don't know for certain. Maybe I'll have to try it. Maybe I'll have to try it. Yeah, Empering. My family know why I have these CRTs and why I'm crazy about them, but they think it's kind of a eccentric, right? It is. I guess it is kind of eccentric, to be honest. But now it's really dark. Let me fix my camera a bit. There we go. Bullet Soul Infinite Burst. Haven't played it. I don't know. I haven't played it. I still want a 4x3 Trinitron to get widescreen. That's really cool. You know what my dream display is that I want to get one day? Is that 1080p CRT 16:9 monitor that John McCormack made Doom on. Do y'all know about that? Here, let me see if I can pull up an image of it for y'all. Since this stream is just turned into a hangout session at this point. Let me see if I can find it. Doom John McCormack, right? I'll just put Doom CRT. Damn it, muted myself looking for my monitor. Okay, so what I was saying, I can remember what I was talking about. The thing is, whenever I type onto my monitor, I'll mute my stupid mic. What I was saying, I was answering the question he was asking. He's Proyitico? I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. Was talking about how I was looking like restless or tired in other videos. I was saying, yeah, basically what I'll do is I'll make the video rain or shine. So there'll be some videos of mine where I'll be literally sick, or like the Mars Matrix one. I was sick, but I recorded that one. Or I'll be dead tired, or a lot of other YouTubers. This is kind of interesting topic where they will like make themselves up nicely and make themselves look professional and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know. I'm not one to do that in my regular life anyway. And so maybe that's something I have to start doing as my channel grows. That's why I'm wearing a hat in a lot of my videos, just because it saves me the bother of having to like try and make my hair look nice or any of that sort of stuff. But yeah. So what I was getting at is you'll see me in all kinds of different states of being on the channel, where I'll be feeling really energetic and peppy in some videos, and other videos I'll be like sick or something. But I try my best to not make it too erratic or too noticeable. Yeah, CRT for PS2 light gun games. So what's funny is I have another CRT right here. You can't see it. It's not the big one. I have a medium one that I use for light gun games exclusively. And I actually sat down and spent, I would say, an hour preparing this elaborate recording setup where I got footage of the game, of my PS2. I got footage of myself holding my light gun. And I string them together so that you can see this cool capture footage of me playing the game, and also a direct capture of the game. It took me like an hour to set up. It took 3 computers in an hour. And then I went to get the clear because I wanted to do a 1cc of Vampire Knight and then commentate it. Well, I forgot that seeing that game is actually pretty freaking hard. And so I sat and recorded like 5 hours of myself trying to get the 1cc, and I couldn't get it. And then it was like, okay, the recording setup is so elaborate that I don't know. Maybe I won't do 1cc light gun of that game unless I get really consistent at it, because recording it was such a pain. But I did try and do one of those a few months ago, over Christmas, I think it was, or before Christmas, Thanksgiving. Yeah, I'm glad they come across as genuine. Yeah, it's hard for me to do myself up too much and all that sort of thing, just by nature. So, and people think it. Sometimes people. It's funny because I often forget about my personal appearance, and so it's kind of funny when people will kind of comment on it a little bit in some of the videos. Like someone would be like, "Oh my gosh, you shaved." I was like, "Oh yeah." So I go through this. Like, I'm so lazy with my personal appearance that I don't shave daily. But I'm not like a beard guy. Like who's that famous YouTuber? Gerard the Completionist. Like, he's famous for his beard or whatever. I think a lot of like gaming YouTubers are famous for their beards. I'm not necessarily that. What it is that I'm just lazy, so I will shave once a month. So you'll see me go through my beard cycle over the month, where I'll begin the month with like a clean shaven face, and we're getting to the 20th here, so my beard's getting thicker. Then February 1st or whatever, you'll see me with the clean shave again. It just goes in this cycle where I just shave once a month. Yeah, Vampire Knight. Yeah, that's one of my favorite light gun games. Really fun. Yeah, I love light gun games. There's gonna be more light gun stuff on the channel here. It's just such a pain in the ass to record. That's why otherwise you would have a Vampire Knight video already. Yeah, very true, Willie G. Like with the whole virus situation, people have, you know, like all that stuff's kind of gone by the wayside a little bit, myself included. The thing is though is that I get away with wearing a hat a lot more these days. like at my job, I can wear a hat because of that. So I don't have to do my hair and all that as much. Well, awesome. Any other questions before we close down the stream? Gearbolt, Panzer Dragoon with a gun. That sounds awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, in Idaho, people love their beards. I've seen some pretty epic beards out here. Hey, thanks, Daniel. PSVR Dino Crisis. That sounds cool. Yeah, Daniel, the plan is to kind of keep the vibe, keep it rolling. I think the only changes that you'll see over the next year, hopefully, you'll see this change is like improved production quality. That's something that's been a real goal of mine. Because, you know, in 2018 and 2019, I was a podcaster, right? So I focused all my energy and efforts on like podcasting, audio, all that stuff, but had very little experience with video making. So when I made the jump 2020 to focusing more on the video making side of things, there's a huge sort of a learning curve, but I'm hopefully like improving my video production quality. That's my biggest goal, is to keep improving that over the year. All right, everyone, I think we'll call it. Oh, okay, we got one last question. Do you remember any funny mistakes when stream or recording a video? Yeah, I've had a lot of funny mistakes when I've recorded videos. The biggest ones is that sometimes I'll go on these very long rants during my recordings, because the way I record videos is that I'll put bullet points up, but then I just go off the dome. I've done a little bit of scripted content. I can do scripted stuff, and you might see a little bit more of that. But I just think, as a YouTuber, I think YouTube, the medium itself, is actually more like congruent with the ability to speak off your head, which is a skill, and it's a skill I've been trying to hone in over the past few years, because that's a skill I just want to be able to do. And so the way I record videos is actually interesting, because some videos, like if I'm doing real hot that day, I can literally sit down and record a video in like half an hour. I can just sit down, it just comes out of my mouth, edit it up a little bit, half hour, we're done. Other videos that are the same length, it could be a recording session of like 2 hours. And I remember one video, I can't remember which one it was, but the problem was that I kept going on these really long rants, and then I would be like, okay, I need to like reel this in. I think it was the World of Long Plays video. I think it was, I was just ranting about the World of Long Plays for like 2 hours. I was like, okay, I gotta rein this in and re-record it. I've had a few of those. There's one podcast episode, too bad KZ isn't awake anymore, but KZ's episode of the old podcast episodes, I think it was something about super players or something. Anyway, I went on this huge rant, our first recording, that was like an hour long, and then we had to re-record because the podcast recording was an hour and a half, and an entire hour of that was just this massive rant. I was like, okay, so we had to come back and re-record it. So the version that's up on the podcast is actually a re-recorded version, because the original version was just me ranting and raving for an hour. So that's probably something that probably comes across less, is that I do have a tendency to go into these like long-winded rants sometimes. Yeah, I'm looking forward. Hopefully we get to the 8K. Yeah, well, the thing about it really is I do have a tendency where some of the rants turn out really good and they end up in the videos, and some of my favorite episodes and podcasts and stuff like that are like when my rants are on point. But sometimes my rants go off the deep end a little bit, where I start getting like Kojima style, right? Where I just start getting way out there and start talking about the nature of reality a little too much, and I'm like, okay, we've lost relatability long ago here. Thanks, everyone. So it looks like everyone's tuning out. So one last time, thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed the 4K subscriber hangout stream. Thanks so much for subscribing to the channel, watching the videos. I hope you all are enjoying it. I really appreciate everyone tuning in and all the, growth that's happened in the channel. It's a point of pride for me. So thanks so much. Adios.